This is a topic I don't think I quite have the words for, but I hope you'll understand what I say when I'm saying it. There's a lot of things about this life that you just shouldn't even bother getting involved in because you'll be wasting your time, energy, and possibly even your life doing so, and for nothing. It's crazy how much bullshit people are willing to take just to live a life of fucking cowardice. They lived a long, fruitful, healthy life. They lived a long, uh, uh, fulfilling life. Of what? Like, literally, of what? Like, now they created children, now how to watch them die so that their children can have children who watch them die. For the vast majority of people, like, you're not going to become an owner, like, you're not going to enter the owner class. You're not, like, by the time the mid 1800s came around, monopolies were pretty much set in stone that far back. With railroads, with a lot of infrastructure, construction, banking, food, in the food industry, like, monopolies have just been running shit for that long. There's a reason why old money still exists. So for you to think, oh yeah, I'll be the next fucking Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, sure. Yes, okay, go ahead. Mark Zuckerberg himself, like, I can't remember where I saw it. Like, the millennials only have in the US, millennials only have like 4 or 5% of the total wealth in the country, and Mark Zuckerberg has like half that by himself. How fucking crazy is that? Mark Zuckerberg by himself has half the millennial wealth. Half a generation's wealth is just one guy. But you think, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a slice of that. It's not even wishful thinking, it's just severe levels of delusion. Because no matter how rich you get, if you still have to pay taxes, if you still have to follow the law, you're not in the owner class. I'm sorry. If you and it's so crazy how the stupidest people to do tax fraud are the ones who are never going to be part of that, like, rich class for very long anyways. The rich people get busted all the time, but they still get out of it, because they've bought the connections, they've bought the fucking they bought the resources and the connections to do so, right? The rest, like, you have to wonder, what is it that really drives people? What is it that motivates people to live? If they if they don't if it doesn't center around creating children to give themselves a purpose and meaning in life, what else is it really? Why do people struggle so hard to define their own existence, to define their own place in this world, and yet they already exist? Why the fuck do you have to justify why you exist and you already exist? What the fuck kind of like, is it just me noticing this? Am I like that gone off the deep end? You know? People have to justify why they exist. They have to justify why they shouldn't starve to death or fucking die of thirst or like die of an infectious disease that could be treated very easily. People really have to buy their own life. Like, we have to buy our own lives back. And to do that, people just sell their fucking souls. They already own your body. But you keep selling your soul over and over and over again. It's like at that point you're just like renting souls to sell. And in doing so, people castrate themselves. You know, castration is something, it's one of the worst punishments that could be given to another human being. Because castration is, it is a form of punishment that says, you know, your reproductive rights are not rights anymore. Your ability to reproduce, right? Look at it at the in the breeder context, right? Your ability to reproduce is everything to you, and we've taken it away. If you were to look at that as an antinatalist, you'd be like, yeah, no more, you know, less people being born. Yeah, just castrate people. But that's pretty fucking sick, because today it's somebody you don't like. Tomorrow it could be antinatalists. Then what? Yeah, you know, just come ahead and castrate me. You know, come on. You know, just think for a few seconds. Just think about it. And castration is usually reserved for pedos. While I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with that, I've read conflicting studies about whether it's actually effective or not. And if something isn't even that guaranteed, and it's just like a form of like breeder self-righteousness, how quickly and easily is it weaponized? Because you want to bring in like, you know, if you, okay, castration in the literal sense is just like the, it's in reference to men usually, right? The desecration of the testes, I guess. But if you look at previous attempts, previous programs, eugenics programs, thousands of women have been sterilized against their will. Like, I was reading up what they did in Puerto Rico in like the 19, was it the 19, I think it was the 1950s or something. Yeah, it was 1950s. What the US government did in Puerto Rico to like thousands of Puerto Rican women. I'll try and see if I can remember that story, but like, in a sense, castration itself is not just a physical act. It's a spiritual one. It's a spiritual one, because if you understand that a child is an extension of your spirit and they're cutting off your ability to reproduce one, whether or not we think that children should even be reproduced in this world, that is it is a spiritual punishment. It really is. And yet people do it to themselves. I don't want to even talking about the in the reproductive sense. When somebody when someone is castrated, an element of their own autonomy and power is taken from them permanently. That's what I mean. Castration works to take away power and autonomy from people. This is why I'll never be on board with just like like a one track mind antinatalism type of vibe. Because you really can't be angry at mass sterilizations. Less babies being born, right? That's the end goal, isn't it? Less people around, less humans around. Yet people are willing to live on their fucking knees every day. Every day. Just so they can have a long life of just fucking cowardice and just honestly ass backwards bullshit rationalizations. I mean, really, like, even in this world, like, why the fuck would you even want to make it, like, past 50 on this planet. Really, what the fuck is the point, you know? And it's one thing, it's one thing to be an antinatalist. It's another thing to, I don't know if it's nihilism or whatever. Like, yeah, we're all gonna die, so just do whatever. Yeah, I do agree with that to some extent. I would agree with it in the sense that we are all going to die, yes, but that just means you don't have a lot of time to be your authentic self. And your authentic self is someone who's defined by you, by your own uh by your own acceptance of your own predispositions. Your authentic self is not going to be defined by external validation. That's why it's so hard for people to find out who they really fucking are, because you're expecting somebody out there to be some like fucking Tibetan monk to be like, yes, my son, you are a reincarnated fucking rose flower or something. You just can't have somebody tell that to you. And yet people suppress themselves, castrate themselves. They castrate the strongest parts of themselves, the most resilient parts of themselves, just to conform to people who have no part of that, who have no such force in them themselves. You gotta wonder what kind of world can turn somebody like that. Turn somebody who has the ability to move forward, to change, to better themselves, to better the people around them, their environment, right? But they're just living castrated, self-castrated, spiritually self-castrated. How do you even help somebody like that? Is it really that people have no will to live for themselves? They don't. We constantly, people constantly have to justify just existing. And it's so weird how they find that somebody talking to themselves is still seen as such a weird fucking taboo. What's wrong with talking to yourself? Maybe there's something wrong with talking to yourself in public, but we talk to ourselves all the time in our heads. Is it bad to vocalize it? In fact, if you actually talk to yourself, it's probably a lot better than just bottling it up. People don't want to talk to themselves because talking to themselves would mean confronting all the fucking bullshit in their psyche. And that's not easy. That's scary for a lot of people. But to me, what's even scarier is not being able to confront what's in my own fucking mind. That's terrifying to me. What am I even living for? Who am I living for at that point? And it's a reason why people can't even regulate their own emotions anymore. Like, oh man, the last video I made on The Little Mermaid really showed that. The capacity for self-preservation and self-regulation has been chipped away at very gradually. It wasn't all at once, but very gradually. And then once the rise of social media came around, it was just like, it was like, I don't know, chopping wood or something. It was just chopping away at it. And now, the average grown adult can be triggered very quickly, more so than a child. Children don't even get triggered. This is crazy. All these things, all these irrational behaviors that we call immature are things that children don't even do. Some children can absolutely be menaces. But most of the time, if you just like talk to them, genuinely talk to them, they'll listen to you. If you just genuinely just tell them this and that, right? I- It's because people don't see children as individuals. They just see them as a collective fucking swarm. And the plain fact is, not even the teachers who teach these kids have time to really get to know them and understand them. Like, they'd have to be a really good teacher to do that. They would. The rest of them just see them as dollar signs, really. So a lot of people grow up with that inability to decide for themselves, to choose for themselves, to understand that their reasoning is correct. When something doesn't feel right and doesn't look right, then it isn't right. But they teach themselves that no, it must be right because this person said or that person said. And it seems very irresponsible to me that you get to adulthood and think, yeah, I'm going to have a kid, when your ability to self-regulate is non-existent, almost non-existent. We're in an era of social engineering now. More so than before. Like, all these things, there's nothing new under the sun. All this stuff has existed, right? Since antiquity. But now you have new people, more just diabolical people who study these trends, who study what triggers you. These algorithms themselves work exactly like that. They will push things in front of your face you don't even want to fucking look at. Constantly. In an ability to get you to... Once you start reacting negatively to these things, it chips away at your ability to self-regulate. That is such an... It is such an under fucking covered topic. Anywhere. Any field of study. You only get to know about self-regulation when you're in a fucking psychologist's office. And that's if they're really good at their job anyways. You know, what is good personal behavior? You know, what is a good self-image to yourself? What is defining who you really are when no one is around? If they actually taught these things in the school system, there'd be no more school system. Or at least as we know it. There'd be too many people rebelling all the time. And it's like, this is like the political dissidence, right? The civil disobedience kinds of people rebelling. Because they just see through the bullshit very quickly. They see through the bullshit very easily. And I've had to learn how... The thing is, sometimes I would suppress myself. I wouldn't go as far as to say castrate myself. Because I don't think I've ever done that. I don't. I've just always generally had this self-perception of myself, if that makes sense. That's never really changed. And I'm glad it hasn't. Because I'm even able to just process these thoughts right now because of that. But at the same time, changing myself to molding myself to other people who don't even know their fucking self. They're too afraid to even know what they fucking really are. And hey, the sad thing is, you might get to know yourself and you're pretty fucking mediocre. That's probably why. You're not really that special. You're not fucking brilliant. You're not like a special snowflake. But that's okay. It really is. You know what? What impulse do you have to be more than what you are? Hey, if you want to go compete, if you want to go be the best, if you want to do all that, go ahead. But you see the champions after they've been the champions and they said, yo, I wish I did this, or I wish I spent more time with them, yo, I wish I didn't do this. And these regrets will always exist. Don't let these fucking excuses stand in your way of doing something you want to do. But at the same time, you see the people who have done it, right? And they've left their peak. And you have to ask yourself if what they went through is worth it, because they're the ones who set that bar. And the thing about me, especially nowadays, I just tell people the blunt fucking truth. I just do, because I don't see the need to couch people's feeling. Too much of that shit exists now, right? Too much of that fucking just dancing around the. Nah, words are expensive. Okay, I'm going to say what I have to say, and I'm going to say, like, just don't ask me if you don't want to hear it the way I have to say it. Don't ask me. Just don't. I can't sugarcoat things. I can't. It'd be insincere to myself and to the person that I'm telling it to. And that's about being, to prevent such a situation where where people do end up spiritually castrated. It's about having principles, principles for your own life and the way you live, the way you want to live your life, the way you want to lead your life. Having those principles and living by them is going to prevent you from a lot of fucking misery that you could have avoided quite easily. Having the ability to say yes, but also having the ability to say no is a very powerful thing. Just say no to the fucking bullshit. It's really people. The mind is brilliant at inflating things to make you think that it's impending doom, or if you do it, you're gonna die or something. But just power through it. Because I'm telling you, the mind itself is really great at suppressing itself. But you, as the sentient being, have to understand that it's simply a tool for you. It's a tool for you, and it's not a tool to be used against you.